what's misunderstood, what's hated, what's maligned, what is thrown into the garbage, what is loved to be hated. That is today's movie, and we're still discussing everything Alien. Today's initial drop, because we do two a day, is Alien 3. And why is it Alien 3? Well, I consider this one of the greatest science fiction movies of all time. I believe this is amongst three of the greatest science fiction movies of all time. But no one has that point of view, and that's exactly what we do here. So welcome to AKAPAD, the Film Buffs podcast. We're talking 1992's Alien 3. Let's go.
Camera speed, sound production, take one.
Action!
It's hilarious that we can't look at movies. We just cannot see a movie. We have to draw in connective tissue from previous films. We have to discuss lore and the mythology, and sometimes that works and sometimes it's fun. Sometimes we have to ignore it. We have to ignore it to accept what's in front of our face. I really want to say Alien 3 to me is impressionist painting. You know, like when you go through a museum, and my fiance and I, we've been on a huge museum run lately. Like ever since last year, ever since we went to Paris, and just like reinvigorated our interest in artwork. And you guys know I'm an illustrator. Some people might even call me an artist. I consider myself just a workhorse, you know, like just give me a blank piece of paper and let's make something happen. I have a very blue-collar approach to my illustration. I don't consider myself an artist. But when you move through a museum, you really see this transition of realistic, huge, oil-painted artwork. I mean, some of these are 2 stories high. They're enormous. But they're so effing realistic. And you kind of realize that it's the presentation and the medium. Meaning it has to be big so we can blend all the oils and create light. And then along the way, technology kind of picks up and we get some photography. Just what we can do with capturing images. So eventually, painting transitions into impressionist painting. Nowadays, everybody loves impressionist painting, right? Like we have bags, Louis Vuitton, you know, they do their printed Starry Night or whatever, right? Like everyone loves impressionist painting. Girls run around with dresses, guys have it on their wallets. They have Manet's artwork out of their pocket, right? And it's just now universally accepted, and we kind of forget at the time how contentious impressionist painting was, because it was just such a wild deviation. But it's accepted, and we go to museums for it. Well, when will Alien 3 be accepted? When will we accept it as a storyline? The end of Ripley. When will we accept that we are presented the torturous life of Ripley, of Sigourney Weaver? Her arc is absolutely depressing and scary, right? It's a scary 3-movie arc, because we know what happens at the end. She sacrifices herself, and the queen alien chestburster bursts out. She grabs the queen during mid-fall and, basically dies just like the Terminator died in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. She just falls into molten lava, magma. We have what I consider some of the greatest costume design by the greatest costume designer of all time, Bob Ringwood. The costumes and the palette for this movie, it just bleeds awesomeness. It stays with you. The silhouettes of all the characters, and everyone's wearing just like drapes and clothes, and they're wrapped, and everyone's from like neck to wrist and wrist to ankle. There's very little skin in this movie, but every character has a silhouette. Every character has a character amongst themselves just in what they're wearing. It's amazing. Music. I always forget who does the music for this. Elliot Goldenthal. What else has he done? Oh my God. Pet Sematary, Demolition Man, Cobb, Batman Forever. Yes. Heat. This is the guy that scored Heat. One of my... how did I not know that? In Dreams. I'm just going through what I know. The Tempest. Frida. Like, this guy... Okay, this guy's one of the best. 1979, Cocaine Cowboys. Good for you. And the hate for this movie really comes from the opening credits, where Corporal Hicks, a survivor, and the kid Newt, the survivor from the previous movie, well, they turn up dead. And it's almost like we forget we're watching a science fiction movie. Now, as much upset, as much anger as you can get that some of your favorite characters from the previous movie are now dead, this is somewhat in line now with the Alien movie trope. Same with Dr. Shaw between Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Characters die off screen. We're past that now, right? So that's fine. To me, it's explained within the presentation of the franchise. So that doesn't bother me. We have a quick gestation period. We have this experiment, what's called the dog alien. The face hugger now attaches itself to a canine, or now to a little pupper. The dog gets the egg embryo implanted into its chest. We see somewhat of a scary, horrific scene. The dog's in the tunnel. We hear the dog yelp. We hear the cracking. We know what's happening, right? But it's we always feel bad for our animals in these movies. So we get an alien that's quick, dog-like. It runs on all fours. It doesn't quite stand up. In the beginning of this movie, we get the idea that the facehugger has been, or multiple facehuggers, right? They've been kind of roaming around the spaceship, implanting eggs in people. Sigourney Weaver, for whatever reason, never gets herself checked if she has an egg. If we watch this movie, we can kind of play with it. We can try and pinpoint, when does Sigourney Weaver, when does Ripley know she has the egg in her chest? The evil corporation, they're racing towards her to rescue her, to get her for the experiments that they've started, that they wanted to do since they set her and the Nostromo crew up 2 movies ago. So like there's a continuation of these plot points, like 1,000%. But I love this movie because I can watch it as a science fiction film. And we're in like this wild alien planet. We're in these grays and these browns and these yellow glows, and we're doing something really different with the alien. We're somehow laying out the relationship between the alien and Sigourney Weaver. The alien knows that she has a queen in her chest, so it doesn't mess with her, but they have to kill the alien. Like it's this weird combination. We have a lot of loss of characters. We have a lot of great deaths. But we're in a completely unfathomable alien environment in this movie. We have a good alien death. Right, I love the way that they kill the alien in this movie. They make it explode. It's the best. But I can sit down and look at this just as a movie. It doesn't have to be called Alien. It doesn't have to be Alien 3. It doesn't have to connect to the other movies. If I'm just sitting down watching this movie, sure, the opening credit sequence does not quite explain the facehugger. I feel like it should have. We don't quite know how the escape vessel gets destroyed, and kind of we see acid blood, a lot of that. And then it's like, why would the eggs hatch if they were all in cryo like stasis? If they were all sleeping, why would the alien egg open up? Right? It would open up after they were awoken. So a lot of that, to me, is more breaking the lore than killing Hicks and killing Newt. I can move on from both of them. Who cares? Like, I really don't even care. But outside of that, like someone fresh, someone who doesn't know any better, can watch this movie and they see these biblical and these preacher and these God level tones to this movie, which, here we go, lends itself right into Prometheus thematically and Alien Covenant. So it's all there. It really is. I think this movie's great. I think the costume designs are absolutely amazing. I love the music. I love the look. I think David Fincher coming out of nowhere and handling this movie, I feel this movie was daring. I think as a science fiction movie, this movie swings for the fences, and it just shows us things we've never seen before. And we love prison science fiction like Outlander. We love prison science fiction, and there's no other movie where we get the entire planet as a prison colony. It's fantastic. But no, what do we get? We get this attack, this visceral attack against this movie because people don't get what they wanted. And they cannot go into the museum, or they cannot look at a painting in front of their face and say, you know what? This isn't a two-story tall oil painting. I'm looking at an impressionist painting, and these are smaller. The people who made these were poor. They're trying to figure out a new technique. They're trying to recreate light on the canvas. This is something different. We have to accept it, though. We have to accept it since everyone is doing it, right? Now all of those points lend themselves to Alien 3. I'm just talking about what the mindset needs to be for us to really get past what we want from this movie. And it's been since when did I say this movie dropped? 92. It's been since 1992, and no one can get over this movie. And I say it's bad on the creatives, the people involved with the making of this movie, because they've all done their apology tour. They've done the Batman and Robin shtick. Don't apologize for your work. You got paid for it. Like people bought houses from their paychecks on this movie. It's good. You people went for something different. It should be something different. Because what did we get after this? We got Alien Resurrection, that downline was a return to what worked. We have Alien Romulus right now, a return to what worked. We have Alien Covenant, a return to what worked. And for some reason, no one can agree on what worked. No one can agree. They kind of see a little bit of the experimentation Cameron got with Aliens, the sequel, the predecessor. Right? A little bit of experimentation, a little bit of success. A lot of success. And then the idea, right? Like, let this be more anthology based. Let's have people have fun with these ideas. And if we need Sigourney Weaver, if we need Ripley in this movie to sell it and to get it financed and get a studio somewhat comfortable and happy backing the production, so be it. That's why Ripley has her arc at the end of this movie. That's why it's technically a different Ripley in the next. It doesn't matter as long as we get, like they should just make Ripley an android at this point, right? Make Ripley a robot at this point. It doesn't matter. But AKA Powders, I always liked this movie. I think as a science fiction movie, it's one of the greatest prison-based science fiction movies of all time. Yes, I will put Escape from New York in that category. I think this movie's great. I think it deserves higher discussion. The film ball, I gotta go.